What's up, YouTube? Ghost Archives back here in the building doing another album review. I'm extremely excited because it was a Friday. New music had already came out. I was on my way to work. I was actually at work, and my cousin Damien hits me up, and he's like, "I think they just dropped an album. I think Kendrick just dropped an album." So today's album review is gonna be Kendrick Lamar, GNX. So let's get right to it. All right, so Kendrick Lamar, Compton, California. This is a highly anticipated album. Last week I actually did Ab Soul's album, so if you haven't seen that, go check that out. Soul Burger album review. It was a very, very good album review. Ab Soul and Kendrick Lamar were once label mates. Now Kendrick Lamar started his own record label called PG Lang, and this is his very first album under PG Lang. If you've listened to previous Kendrick Lamar albums, with the most recent one being Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, that was his last album on Top Dog Entertainment, his initial label. With that being said, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was a double album. It was Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Now we're sitting here with a brand new album 2 years later, let's say a little over 2 years later, called GNX, a Grand National. This car right here is, they said, okay, so the GNX being the Grand National, inspired by a vehicle that his dad, I believe, used to drive around. And there's a lot of references throughout his music to wanting this specific car. I even seen on an Instagram post probably like a year ago where he actually got the Grand National car. He got the car. And he says it all throughout the album. All he ever wanted was a black Grand National. The GNX, though, is famous because it is one of the only American made cars, muscle cars, that was able to beat a Lamborghini at that time. Amazing. So just capturing the initial energy of this album, it feels like I'm in LA in early 2000s, maybe even the 90s, and I'm bumping this in a Grand National. It just immediately, I mean, the album cover, the car itself, there is a snippet that was dropped right before the album dropped. Now, if you want to talk about marketing, I don't know what type of marketing this is, but I know that the marketing plan is Kendrick Lamar himself. So he's built up this anticipation for this album throughout the year. Now, if you haven't known, throughout this year, there was a ginormous beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. The ultimate consensus was that Kendrick Lamar won the rap battle, whatever you want to call it. He dropped a series of songs being Like That with Future and Metro Boomin. Then he dropped Euphoria in response to a couple of Drake songs. We can get into those in another video. Then he dropped Meet the Grams, 616 in LA, and Not Like Us. Now, Not Like Us is one of the biggest hits in the country this year. It dropped on May 3rd. And I remember where I was when that song dropped. But regardless, now the whole world has been fiending for new Kendrick Lamar music. I mean, I even been like, man, this Not Like Us song is, how many times can I play it, right? But just when I thought that we're just going to ride out the rest of the year without new Kendrick music, we got Ab Soul, we got Tyler, the Creator, we got Schoolboy this year, we got Doechii, we got a lot of dope albums this year. We got A$AP Ferg. But then out of nowhere, he drops this album at 9 a.m. called GNX. And initially, like, when I hear the snippet, the snippet's not on this album. So I don't even want to really get too deep into what the snippet is. But I do have a theory that this album is a part one. I would call it like a mixtape, but the quality of this project is so good, it doesn't feel like a mixtape. The only reason I say it's like a mixtape is because all of Kendrick Lamar's albums have some type of narrative or some type of media form that allows him to bring a narrative together to kind of tie together the album. This doesn't necessarily have that. It has elements of that, but doesn't have a specific theme, if you're catching what I'm saying, which being like Good Kid, Mad City was like a movie. To Pimp a Butterfly had the poem going throughout. Even Damn had the kind of the narrative and the backwards reoccurring theme. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers had the Therapist. But now we're at GNX. So I'm gonna get right in. I'm gonna get into this before I just keep talking too long, because I could talk as long as I really want. So, all right. So let's get into the first song, Whacked Out Murals. All right. So I got a lot of notes on this. So let me just put this right here. All right. So Whacked Out Murals is the opening track of this. And when I hear this song, I immediately, like, the first thing obviously you hear is the beat. You hear Kendrick talking a lot about from his point of view. I think this is like spawning evil Kendrick. You know, we're finally getting a moment. So we get into the first track, Whacked Out Murals. I personally feel like this is a spawn evil Kendrick moment. He's back. Everyone's kind of wanting to know what his perspective is on everything that's been going on since the beef. And as well as, you know, if you've watched my page, you would know that I reported one of my first videos was him. Kendrick and Lil Wayne had a thing going on because of Kendrick getting announced to perform at the Super Bowl. And this gets addressed on this song, Whacked Out Murals. As a matter of fact, I see Kendrick addressing a lot of people on this song. He doesn't necessarily call them out by name. A few of them he does, but he's addressing a lot of people that reacted in maybe a way that he wouldn't prefer. People like J. Cole, people like Lil Wayne, Snoop, Drake, Diddy. He's calling out a lot of people on this song, and it's like him seeing the current climate of where we're at in the music industry, but the rap game as well. And he's making it very clear that he's trying to take over the rap game. So also with Whacked Out Murals, I did notice that there was a few lines taken out. I think that when he was talking about one of the first lines that was whacked out, one of the first lines that was taken out, no pun intended, was, I think he was saying something like, I'm the one that made the motherfuckers stop touching them children. And then the other line that was whacked out was, it was Diddy's name. And he was basically saying everyone's cackling about Diddy, but everyone's on trial. So I think that's just going to show. And on top of that, he's saying, like, you know, if you're not with me, you're pretty much against me. I'm drawing the line in the sand, you know, and there's not much you could do after that. You know, you guys could stay on that side, and I'm going to stay here on my side. And Whacked Out Murals is also a reference. So a few months back, I think in September, there was a mural of Kendrick Lamar that got spray painted and disrespected out in LA. I don't know the specific politics on what that was, but I know that that was posted all around social media. So that's him basically addressing, like, he gets the same amount of hate that he might get on the internet, but he also gets that same amount of hate in his city. And he's saying, like, that type of energy will make people not like me move to Europe because it's a scary sight, right? But he has to embrace that. He has to understand that, you know, with the love comes the hate. So you have to have that duality in his point of view of the situation. Then we get into Squabble Up. Now, also, before I get into the next song, I do want to mention that I'm going to be doing individual track breakdowns because I feel like there's certain songs on here, not every single song, but I do feel like there are certain songs on here that deserve a deeper look into it. So I'm going to release some videos, and I'm also going to release a video on why I think that this is not the end of what Kendrick's going to be dropping before the Super Bowl. But let's get into the next song, Squabble Up. This is the preview track on the Not Like Us video. Immediately, it's has the sample Debbie Deb when I hear music. It's like super 80s dance electronic type music type sound, but they flip it into a West Coast type beat, and man, oh man, this song is absolutely incredible. Some of my favorite lyrics on this song, let me pull them up. So some of my favorite lyrics on this song was actually on the third verse, because he's basically saying, like, I got friends, I got foes, but they're all sitting ducks. Hit this turf and get cracking, double back like a deluxe. That's actually one of the biggest reasons why I feel like Kendrick is going to be dropping another project here very soon. I don't think, with him saying that, I think he's going to drop a deluxe version of this album, but it's going to have so much more music on it. almost like We Don't Trust You with Metro Boomin, and then We Still Don't Trust You, how they dropped 2 projects and it was completely different music on both of those projects. It was almost like a deluxe, but that's one of the biggest indicators. And then let me see here. And then the third verse was actually my favorite part because he's dissing a lot. Like, this song is basically him dissing Drake, dissing J. Cole, letting him know, like, hey man, you guys really did fuck up. It was wolf tickets on sale till I silenced it. Pipe down, young. These some whole other politics. Bitch with him and some bitch hit him. That's a lot of bitch. Don't hit him. He got kids with him. My apologies. Like, I think that's a direct shot to Drake and his little weird habits that he has. I think that's a diss to J. Cole, sticking by Drake's side, saying you'll always be his friend. It's not a good idea. And like, bro, this whole song is just super bouncy, super boppy. Like, it's a dance. Like, I really feel like you could dance. Like, I really see, like, you know, a super, like I really get the visual of, like, it's the 80s and a super shermed out, sweaty motherfucker put somebody in a headlock and he's like, where's my money at, bro? But everyone around you is not really paying attention to the fact that you got them in a headlock. They're just dancing to the music. I also like that he used that sample when he says, you got the music. Basically, is like a Kendrick claiming that he has the wave now. He has the music now. He has the consumer, and he's kind of flexing his power. A lot of this project is not Kendrick being super vulnerable. A lot of this project is Kendrick on attack mode. That's why I say when you get whacked out murals, we're spawning evil Kendrick. We're getting K-Dot. We're getting diabolical Kendrick. Diabolical. But I like how short his verses, the first 2 verses were really short, but it was like setting up for that third verse where he just completely starts talking shit. Ghetto child, it was a black and mild with the Smirnoff. And then he says something about the full moon, and he starts howling like a wolf. Like, it's just super, like, creative. There's a lot of sounds going on at the same time, but it's very, like, ear-pleasing sounds. Almost in a way, this project reminds me of Damn, and not a third-person point of view of... I feel like Damn was, like, a third-person point of view of what he's doing now. And this is, like, the first-person point of view now, right? But Squabble Up was 10 out of 10 song. I love it. I love how bouncy it is. I love how fun it is. Then we get to Luther with SZA. So this was actually one of my favorite songs when I first heard the album. The hook was absolutely infectious. I love the idea of basically you have a world. Basically, you got to imagine the world without pain and confusion and distraction. And the reason that pain, confusion, and distraction is no longer there is because your significant other has been able to remove that. And you want to do the same thing. It's like the polarity. It's honestly a very beautiful song. I think that the hook itself, if it were up to me, what does he say? It was like basically like, if it was up to me, I would take everything. Like, it's just, I love that song. Like, that song was, I could hear that on the radio. I can hear it riding down the freeway. I can hear it, like, it's super smooth, and it's actually, and I love the Luther Vandross sample in there. Like, immediately, like, these first 3 songs are just hitting you with content, straight to the point content. You don't have to think too deep into it. And I like the fact that he's saying, like, bro, like, I don't need to use a double entendre. This album is, I want you to feel this. I want you to feel the directness of this album. So that's another reason why I feel like, personally, there's another project coming. So then we get into Man in the Garden. So I do feel like this is one of the songs that need its own lyric breakdown, but I do want to highlight a few moments in here. Basically, he's giving you his point of view of what he deserves, right? I deserve it all. And he's showing you, like, what his life is like, what type of disciplines that he follows through with every day, what type of good he does for his family, for his friends, even down to his accomplishments and small accomplishments throughout the day. And you kind of start getting the vibe of he's seeing this issue, this kind of, like, problem arising and how he wants to handle it. So you get that true Gemini side of Kendrick in that third verse, where basically he breaks down how he wants to go to war and what he's going to do. And that's why I think The Man in the Garden is a very interesting title for the song, because you can really take it as, who was in the garden. It was Adam and Eve and the snake, and the man was Adam, and he was the one that had to make the decision to either bite the apple or not bite the apple. And I think that's what Kendrick's alluding to, is like, the bait is to go to war, because he makes it fun. He made it interesting. He made it hyper, what do you call it? He made it sensationalized. So I think that The Man in the Garden song takes me back to songs like Pride, but it also translates into other songs that we'll get into here in a moment. But then the next song after that, we got Dodie Six and K Dot. Hey Now. I love this song. It's a super bop. So Kendrick raps for damn near 3 verses, and then on that third verse, Dodie Six just kind of comes in and gives you the cherry on top. It's not too much. I don't feel like his verse or his feature really messed things up. If anything, it really gave us a moment to like breathe. And because we got so much of Kendrick leading up to this moment, I don't think there was a feature before that. So now we get something new, something fresh, something actually a little bit more current when it comes to the current sound. I love LA music, but I've actually never heard of Dodie Six. So I'm interested in looking into more of what he does, because he was actually one of my favorite features on this album with Hey Now. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that later as well. I like to see how tapped in Kendrick is with the new LA artists, and with like Mexican LA artists as well. I think it's extremely dope that he's putting these people on this project, because they're getting the look that they deserve. Then we got Reincarnated. This is another video I'm going to do a breakdown on, because this song is deep. I was doing my notes on this song, and I kept getting more and more from it. So we'll get into it. But basically, we got that old school death row beat. That's a Tupac beat. I can't name what exact one it is, but I know that's a Tupac beat. Like down to the drums, down to the pianos. I've heard that beat before, so it's super dope. The verses, though, he's not. So his voice sounds like Pac, not AI Pac, but it sounds like Kendrick Lamar's like actual tone. But his delivery and his what do you call it? Like features, like if it was a facial feature, like the little features that you get in his voice, he's really tapping into the Tupac flow, and he's doing it extremely tastefully. He's doing it like that. It blew me away how he's rapping as like almost like a reincarnated Tupac, right? But none of the verses were from the point of view of Tupac. It's from the point of view of different black musicians or entertainers that had passed away. When you get towards the end of the song, he's talking from the point of view of Kendrick Lamar, and then he starts talking to his father. But then I start to realize that it could be a conversation with his actual father, but then he's actually talking to God, right? And then he turns from Kendrick Lamar to Lucifer. So now this is a conversation between God and Lucifer, and why God, sent him down from heaven. Then we get into the point of view of, why you're reincarnated is because you keep coming back and you keep making these mistakes: lust, pride, gluttony. You keep making these mistakes, and that's why you keep coming back as these black entertainers. And it's almost like the devil is in a state of purgatory, right? And then Kendrick has to, because the saying is like, music was like the devil's language. He was the master of it. So when you're looking at somebody, that is praised as much as Kendrick Lamar, his faith and his religious beliefs can be put into question due to that. Maybe not put into question, but can be scrutinized, right? But basically, Kendrick reclaims. So he basically says, like, I rewrote the devil's story to take it all back. And I'll get into my breakdown of this song, but I think a song like this, he's speaking through spirits. Like, I don't even think, I don't know who was in the booth at that time. I don't know who recorded that song, but I would love to be a fly on the wall at that studio session thinking, creating that song. Another thing is like I'm for sure one day going to interview Kendrick, and I'm gonna be able to ask him everything that I've ever wanted to ask him. So this is a part of that journey. But I definitely would want a lot more information on this song, Reincarnated, and how it came to be. We'll get into that one on another video as well. But let's get into the next song, my favorite song on the album so far, because Luther was one of my favorites. But TV Off is absolutely incredible. TV Off is the Super Bowl song of the year. That is going to be played just as much as Not Like Us, if not more. I think TV Off, this one is also featuring Lefty Gunplay at the end. He doesn't add too much to it, but that's what I'm saying is I feel like Lefty Gunplay isn't a type of artist that's super lyrical, super deep, super intense. He's a LA street artist, but he makes good music. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't think that Lefty Gunplay has some music that I can connect with and appreciate. But I don't think that these features need to come onto this album and like murder Kendrick Lamar's verses or do anything. I feel like Kendrick is using these verses to not only promote and put out these new artists, but also to show them, hey, look, this is how you collaborate on songs like this. You guys don't have to do a full verse. I could do 3 verses. You can get on this part. You can get on this part. We'll get into one of the next songs too. But I think he's really, with this album and these moves where he's bringing in artists, especially like Lefty Gunplay, Siete, Dodie Six, Roddy Ricch, Wally the Sensei. I think he's bringing in all these artists for, like, to really show them how TDE did it and to show them how, the West Coast was doing it when they were coming up. I know it's a completely different West Coast. There's so much that's going on. And I love to see energy like Ab-Soul, Schoolboy Q, Kendrick Lamar, Joey Badass, Odd Future. I love to see that energy get back into hip-hop because it was really a collaborative effort. But not only a collaborative effort, people actually pushed each other and people actually made creative music. Not saying people don't do that now, but it was just in a generation and time that was so dope to see. So I love to see Kendrick putting these people together on these songs. All right, so Dodger Blue featuring Roddy Ricch, Siete, Ink, Sam Du, and Wally the Sensei. I think this song is extremely dope. I loved, I actually went to the gym this morning, and on my way to there, I had the windows down and the song had come on, and I just caught myself like really grooving to it. It wasn't my favorite song because of the pacing of the album. Like the energy was so high for me at that point. But I see exactly where this song fits in. The song feels like a victory lap. It feels like LA in a 90s movie, early morning. The smog is out. It's all smoggy. There's no sun out quite yet. But the Dodgers just won the World Series, and we're riding around the city, and we're doing a quick victory lap before we go get our day started. That's really what I got from Dodger Blue. I think that Roddy Ricch, Wally the Sensei on the hook, and I believe Sete was on the hook as well. But I think those 3 on the hook made a really good hook. I think that the bridges and the outros with Sam Du, who was on Mr. Morale on the Big Steppers, and Ink, I think that was like, it kept everything super interesting. It didn't give me no low points of the album. You know what I mean? Like we got verses, we got hooks, we got bridges, we got outros, we got intros. Like what more do we really have to ask for? We're getting complete bodies of work, and it just feels effortless from Kendrick. It feels effortless from everybody who features on this album. SZA absolutely murdered her feature on Luther. But then we get into Peekaboo with AZ Chike. So I actually haven't had a chance to put this one out yet, but I did review Schoolboy Q's Blue Lips, and on there's a song called Movie with AZ Chike. This was one of my favorite songs. I thought AZ Chike absolutely murdered his verse. This was like a movie part 2 times 2 because you got Kendrick on there actually rapping and snapping. And it's not too complicated. It's not too lyrical, miracle. It's not too deep. He says this on the beginning of the album. Look, I don't need no double entendres. I need you motherfuckers to feel this shit. I need you to feel this. So it's very direct to the point, peekaboo. And again, Kendrick feels comfortable. It feels like he's having fun. It feels like this isn't the first time he's collaborated with AZ Chike. It feels like they've been in the studio locked in for months and months on end. So, like, I don't understand how anyone could hate on these verses or on these features. Like, these people come out and do a great job. It wasn't like I don't get a half-ass verse from AZ Chike. AZ Chike actually had one of my favorite parts at the end where it was more so his verse where he said something about he ain't never had his ass whooped till he opened up that can. Like, it's not freaking rocket science bars. It just sounds good. It sounds like some shit I could smack the fuck out of you to, man. Like, I could just punch you in your shit. Like, that's really what it is, man. Like, this is some bully music. This is real mean. I'm sorry, man. Like, this is some mean music, man. If you don't like this type of music, man, you probably got bullied kind of hard. And, like, it's not a problem to get bullied. You know, everyone gets bullied. I was bullied. But, like you, like, passive aggressively, like, let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to adapt. You got to become a bully and bully the bullies. You know what I'm saying? This is like a Bully the Bully album. You know, this is Bully. This is the real Bully. I don't know when Kanye's dropping Bully, but this is a Bully. Okay? Peekaboo was dope. Then we get into the Heart Part 6. This is another song that I'm going to do a full breakdown of. But the Heart Part 6 was an overview of Kendrick's ascension into the rap game. I absolutely love the hook. You know, use your heart and not your mind. Super simple, sung beautifully. The beat is incredible. I already know it was made by Soundwave. I don't even got to look. It was probably made by Soundwave. Soundwave did a fucking incredible job on this album. Mustard did an incredible job on this album with TV Off. Let me not forget that. And then, but he does get into basically, you know, his transition into PG Lang, and then he does recall and claims and takes ownership of the fact that Black Hippie didn't work out because of him. And I can appreciate that. I can 100% appreciate that. I think that was one of the most vulnerable moments of this album. Is just him saying that gives the fans, that gives the people, that's like saying I'm sorry, but, you know, as good friends do, they don't harp on that. You know, they don't be like, oh, Kendrick is the reason why we don't do Black Hippie. You never heard anybody say that. You say that, everybody in Black Hippie would be like, you know what? We all have our own things going on. It just doesn't really work out like that. But we all are greats. We all are goats. So I love the Heart Part 6. I love the fact that he's still using the Heart Part 6, even though that bum over there tried to use it to diss him and made a super distasteful song. Like, brother, ooh. Heart Part 6, though, this one, absolutely incredible. Take the other one off the streaming platform so I ain't got to see it when I pull this one up. GNX with Peso, Hit a J3, Young Threat. This song is one of the hardest songs that I like on this album. I understand why some people wouldn't like it. There's no Kendrick verse on it. Kendrick is just on the hook. But you got Peso, you got Hit a J3, and you got Young Threat. My opinion, I like Hit a J3. I've been looking into his music since this year. Hit a J3 has some dope tracks. There was nothing that super stood out to me from Hit's verse, but I thought it was very smooth. It sounded good. Straight to the point. Peso's verse, I like this bar right here. All right. And it applies to somebody that knows who they are. But I like this bar right here. Rest in peace to Peso. Peso did pass away, I believe, 2 years ago in prison. Not going to get too deep into how he passed away, but rest in peace, Peso. I think it's dope that Kendrick featured him on this album. That lets me know that he has songs like this in the tuck. He has music with LA artists that he's been working with in the tuck. But my favorite verse on this song was from Young Threat. Young Threat is from LA as well, and he didn't say anything like bar wise, like oh my god, but he is a menace. Don't play that if I'm angry. Play it when you're in the gym. Because Young Threat will have you feeling like you just drunk pre-workout and on an empty stomach. But you're a pit bull and you see a pigeon and you're on a leash, but the leash is weak and you gotta get that pigeon. And you break off the leash and you mad. That's how, like, bro, like Young Threat just absolutely killed that shit. Young Threat, brought the lower, let's call it like the lower frequencies of the song, because like I feel like the beat can't left when he got on the song, and his low voice and just that minimal beat. I was in the car, I was just like with the screw face, like. So I like GNX. I see how some people wouldn't like it, but one of my favorite bars on there as well was, "Have you ever had to flip your unemployment?" I have. And then, yes, I definitely had to flip the unemployment. And I also definitely, was a joint, and I knew it. So I could relate to this song a lot. If you're not a joint and you don't, or you know what I'm saying, like if you just don't appreciate yourself, you probably won't like the song. And if you never had to flip your unemployment, you probably won't like this song. And then we go into Gloria, which is the ending of the album. Now, with these last two songs, I do feel like it's slightly lackluster. Not that they're bad songs, but I always feel like Kendrick ends his albums on a super, super strong note, super powerful message, which makes me really feel like this is a mixtape. Gloria, it's a love song, like a ballad. You think that it's a ballad to his girl Whitney that he's been with forever. She was brought up in the whole beef and battle or whatnot. I thought it was a moment for him to, or I thought that's what he was doing, but it turns out that this song, kind of like in a super hip hop way, was a ballad to his pen, his talent of being able to write rap. I thought that was interesting because, you get country artists that make ballads about like their guitar or ballads about their piano and stuff like that. So it's interesting to have a rapper make a ballad about their talent to write. And I started to notice before the like ending reveal, because the last bars were like, "Oh, my bitch has been my pen." I started to notice it because he's starting to make a lot of references to writing. He was like, "Your favorite movie is The Notebook. I had to grow to become better, but it knows its past." He was saying like, marked out, erasing history, chapter after chapter. The margins ain't big enough, and then that's when he does the review. I thought it was super interesting. Wasn't my favorite moment in the album. It kind of drags back down, but you need a lot of moments to be able to like digest what we just heard. I thought Gloria was a great song. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's like probably not one of my favorite ones, but I mean, let's look at the whole album. I mean, this whole album is absolutely incredible. It's damn near 10 out of 10 every single song. The only two where I put maybe a 9 out of 10, and I probably have to go back and listen to it. This is probably like, I listened to it all day yesterday, most of the day today. So I feel like these songs are going to grow on me. I mean, the only three that I really didn't care for that much off the first listen, and when I say didn't care for, these are ones that just didn't excite me extremely, was Gloria and was Dodger Blue. Everything else sounded amazing. The messaging was amazing. I was trying to break it down, think about it. So I'm going to give this album, GNX by Kendrick Lamar, hate me if you want, bitch, it's going to be an 11 out of 10. 11 out of 10. Yeah, I said it. You wanted to know. It's an 11 out of 10. It is. Do you want to know if it's an instant classic? I can't say if it's a classic right now. I can't make that determination. I'm not the classic determinator. But in my opinion, this is a instant classic. And we're going to get another project. We're probably going to get a GNX Deluxe. We're probably going to get the faster version of the GNX. We're going to get I don't know. But just keep your heads on a swivel, because it's going to get real out here. I'm going to make a video about all the clues as to why I think there's going to be another album coming out. I do want to highlight a few moments before we get off of here, because I got 5 minutes. I talked for almost 40 minutes about this album nonstop. I tried to make it under 20 minutes. I couldn't. Sorry to tell you that. But if you've made it this far, I love you so, so much. Share this video with a friend. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you know every single time that I'm dropping a new video. All right, but here's some things that I got from this album. I said this project feels very recently recorded, with a few exceptions. I said I feel like this album feels like a mixtape or a untitled unmastered. But the reason I feel like it might not be that is because of the quality of the project. It could just be Kendrick wanting to do something a lot more direct, more to the point, and this is all he's going to drop. I don't think that's the case. one of the things that he said in the very first song, Whacked Out Murals, is this is not for lyricists. Fuck a double entendre. I want you to feel this shit. That's the epitome of this album. It hits you right in the face, lets you know exactly what's going on. I think that this is album of the year. Mixtape of the year. I don't care what you call it. Whatever. There's going to be not too many people that can compete with this album. 100%. And then one of the reoccurring things that I heard him say throughout this album was, I'm going to show you how to run a blitz. Now, if you don't know football, blitz is like an overwhelming defense play, right? So if you show me that you want that smoke, we're going to run a blitz on you. I feel like the blitz is going to come at you, because basically what happens when you do a blitz is the defenders kind of come for the intended target from all directions. I think that this project, after the beef, after the Super Bowl announcement, if he drops another project, stay away from Kendrick Lamar. Don't offend him. And don't call him short. Don't do stuff like this. Do it, because I'm eating right now. Like, I'm eating. Like, this is the best year for fucking hip hop for me, period. But if you don't want to have enemies like this, then be humble. Humble yourself. Understand there's levels to this shit. And Kendrick Lamar is obviously on a different level. I can't wait till we get another artist like Kendrick Lamar. But until then, we got an 11 out of 10 album, mixtape, whatever you want to call it. That was my review. GNX, Kendrick Lamar. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if there's anything I missed out. I can do an extended version of this. I could do a deluxe version of this review. I can go on the Kendrick Lamar route. Back to back, I like that record. I'm going to get right back to that for the record. What did he say? He said something like that, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, Kendrick Lamar, if I could tell you one thing, you don't got to listen to anything I say, but you are the artist of our generation, of my generation. You are the Snoop. You are the Tupac. You are the Eminem of my generation. Eminem and all them, that was my mom's generation. That's my dad's generation. You are the artist that is going to make... You are setting the bar for what an artist is moving forward till who knows when. Till music dies out. And I don't think the music's ever going to die out. And if we keep getting artists and inspired projects like this, the music will never die. Kendrick, keep inspiring the youth. Keep doing what you do. And please, give me the interview, bro. I'm going to keep bothering you until you give me the interview. And then I'll probably ask for another interview in the future. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here. Till next time.